I know from last week that a number of people joined in on the live a few minutes after it started. And so today I'm going to delay just a moment to allow those people who see the live announcement and who have received their reminder messages to get logged into the live and be ready to join us. I am also going to check on LinkedIn to see if there are any messages that I need to tend to, and it looks like we are good to go. I am very excited to be with you today, and I am extending an apology for Marcus not being with us this week. You may not know, we currently live abroad in Ecuador, and this week Ecuador has had some interesting things happen with their electrical system. It's very complex and disruptive on a big level, but we are having power outages throughout Ecuador, and luckily we've got a generator. But it means that today our children are home from school. And so Marcus is tending to the kids, making sure they're getting their homework done. And I know right now that he is out at the grocery store to refill our refrigerator that is devoid of vegetables. We have made so many wonderful meals this week. Last night was a vegetable explosion, lentil dal. The day before was a stir fry with dumplings, and we recently had a lasagna, and all of these are very vegetable intense meals. And so he will be refilling, restocking our kitchen while we are here on this call today. So let's get started. Today, I want to talk to you about why the low carb diet could be making your blood sugar management worse, why it can contribute to diabetes and the severity of diabetes, and where a low carb diet might be more beneficial. So let's see if we can sort through all of the confusion and give you some very practical tips that you can start integrating into your diet and lifestyle straight away that will help you manage your blood sugar. So one of the symptoms of unbalanced blood sugar is that we're really tired after we eat, or we have that afternoon slump. And there are myriad reasons why this can happen, but one of them could be that our blood sugar regulation is not well controlled. And when people have diabetes, they very often, or prediabetes, which is a blood sugar management issue, they often feel fatigue or brain fog or just that constant feeling of being off. And whether you have prediabetes, and 9 out of 10 people don't know they do, and even almost 20% of kids between the age of 12 and 18 are already pre-diabetic. So please, please, please go get your blood sugar tested. You can usually do this at a local pharmacy. It's a quick pinprick, and they'll let you know what your fasting blood glucose is so that you can know if there's some proactive changes that you can make to improve your health and well-being. So people who have diabetes, prediabetes, or if you are just proactive and you want to prevent having them, perhaps you have a common rate of diabetes in your family and you would like to prevent having and developing diabetes, then I believe that you will find some great value in today's call. It's going to be very rich on value for you. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to give you some statistics that are a little bit sobering, and I have a really good reason for it. So just stay with me on this. A lot of people who have received a diabetes diagnosis feel like, oh my gosh, I am going to have a lifetime of medical management, medical expenses, and general health decline. Well, we know that it does not have to be a life sentence at all, that remission is possible for everybody with prediabetes, certainly, and type 2 diabetes as well. But what we find in the statistics is if your diabetes goes untreated, or you have a medical management situation and you're not able to get to the root cause of reversing your diabetes, here are some of the things that happen. People with type 2 diabetes have a 2 to 4 times the risk of cardiovascular disease. And this is the #1 cause of premature death for those people who do have type 2. And 78% of people with type 2 diabetes develop damage to their retina. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but more than 1 in 100 people will go blind from this. And it is absolutely an unnecessary risk. 50% of people with diabetes develop neuropathy that can be extremely painful day and night, causing so much suffering. And it comes also, there's a pain, but there's also a numbness to feeling. So if you get a little sore, you won't be able to detect it. And these sores can cause a big problem, because when our blood sugar is uncontrolled, it starts to affect our vascularization. We start to get blockages in the tiny little blood vessels of our body, which means that in the extremities, like our legs, our feet, when we have a little cut or a little wound start to develop and it's a little numb and we don't notice, we don't have the blood flow. So we have very slow wound healing. And this is really sobering. And please understand there's a reason for it. But this numbness and the sores that don't heal increase the risk of limb amputation. And this is not uncommon in diabetes. In fact, around the world, every 30 seconds, somebody has a leg amputated due to diabetes. So all of these things, the premature death, the heart attacks, strokes, the neuropathy, the amputations, the blindness, all of these are preventable. And today we're going to give you some really great tips and strategies to help you manage your blood sugar, whether it's that you have diabetes, whether you want to see if it helps your brain fog in the afternoon, whether you want to lose weight, whether you just want to promote health so that you can live a longer, healthier life. You'll find some gems today. So let's find some ways to help you control this. Something else that I want to say too is we've been approached by a number of people who have type 2 diabetes where it's entirely untreated. Now, it can be really easy to go, I feel fine. You know, so my blood sugar's up. What's the big deal? I'll get to it eventually. It doesn't need to be a priority today. Well, from the things that I just told you, the risk factors and complications from type 2 diabetes, please, please, please don't let this go untreated. Even if your route is going a medical route, let's just get this under control and start monitoring and taking medication through the Western route, whether that is going, all right, I'm heading all in on diet and lifestyle. Please take proactive steps, get the data, know what your blood sugar levels are so that you can take the steps to prevent all of those horrible complications that can happen. If your diabetes is unchecked, you're on a runaway freight train towards these risks without even knowing it. And so many people who have untreated diabetes or diabetes, they think that, oh, I'll just eat a low-carb diet. I'll go keto, or I'll avoid carbs, or I'll go carnivore, because then, of course, you're not getting the blood sugar raises because you're not bringing in the carbohydrates. But I'm here to tell you that that solution is a fake solution. It actually doesn't work. It might actually be making your diabetes worse in the long run. And we're going to get into some of the science so you understand how this works so that you can make proactive changes in your life. So I'm going to take a little step back and I want to talk to you about diabetes. It's not just about high blood sugar. And a lot of people make this mistake because it's blood sugar that we're monitoring. And so we think, okay, well, let's lower that blood sugar. Hey, we're good to go, hence the low-carb diet. But it's actually a metabolic disorder. And there are a few factors at play. One of them is insulin resistance. So when we eat carbohydrates or we eat simple sugars, carbohydrates break down into sugars in our body so that our body can use them for energy. And we have a chemical in our body that the pancreas produces called insulin. Insulin, when we eat sugar, insulin is released into our bloodstream and it goes around to our cells and unlocks our cells so that the sugar can get inside of the cells and give us energy. And when we have that fatigue from diabetes or sometimes that afternoon slump, we may have something called insulin resistance. It's when our cells don't open the doors to let the glucose come into the cells. The insulin is there, it's in the lock, and it's trying to turn it to let the glucose in, but the lock is all gummed up and it won't open. So this is called insulin resistance, and this is really what we need to treat, because we can keep the glucose out of the bloodstream, but what fun is it to not eat any carbohydrates? And over time, just watch your blood sugar creep up and up and up from the few carbohydrates you are trying to enjoy. That's not fun. We don't want that for you. The other part of diabetes is pancreatic dysregulation. So through certain diets, and we'll get into what those are, the pancreas that makes that insulin, that controls our blood sugar, it starts to have problems. It gets gummed up. The cells that make the insulin are damaged, and it does not produce the level of insulin that we need. So that's another way that diabetes is compounded. Another way, there are two more. One is liver dysregulation. When we have high blood sugar and our metabolism is dysregulated in this way, the liver starts to produce too much glycogen. It releases glucose into the blood. Oh no, here's the liver that's supposed to be helping balance it. But we have made our metabolism so imbalanced that the liver starts to do the wrong thing and releases more sugar into our bloodstream, further elevating our blood sugar. And the last one is that when our blood sugar is consistently high, our fat cells change. And when we are overweight and we have high blood sugar, our fat cells are releasing inflammatory chemicals into our bodies. And the anti-inflammatory chemicals that we so want, that help prevent disease, prevent arthritis, help prevent some pains, migraines, all kinds of things, are possible with anti-inflammatory chemicals. But the fat cells stop releasing those and they start increasing the inflammation in your body. So all these things happen, and it makes one giant snowball barreling down the mountain of all of these things combined together. But it doesn't have to be scary. Really, there are very simple changes that you can make that can stop this from happening and correct all of those things, all of those four mechanisms we just talked about. So let's get into the low carb myth. So there is this allure of a low carb diet for diabetes. And in the short term, it often lowers your blood sugar. And you're like, yes, this is working. I'm finally lowering my blood sugar. Maybe your medication can be less. But what the studies find is that people don't maintain a zero or very low carb diet for a long period of time. It's hard to sustain. You know, you look at pasta or you look at bread, or it's a birthday party and you're having no carbs and you're missing fruit and some of those wonderful things. It can be difficult to sustain it. So the problem is that what we usually replace a low carb diet with are the only two things we can replace it with: high protein and high fat, because the macronutrients of food, carbs, fats, proteins, and some people put fiber in there too. But fiber is not found in the low carb proteins, which are animal products, and fats. So a low carb diet is high in protein, high in fat, and usually people go all for the animal-based proteins. And animal-based proteins are, they are part of the reason why blood sugar goes high. Animal-based proteins have effects on our body that start at the very root foundation level to cause blood sugar dysregulation, and especially the saturated fats, which are only found in animal products and palm and coconut oils. And we're not going to talk about those today, or we'd be going on forever. So remember, I talked about insulin. It goes in there and it tries to open the lock so that the blood sugar can go into the cells and provide you with energy. Well, what's gumming up that lock? It's fats. We get fat that comes into the cells. Saturated fat is an especially powerful culprit. It gums up the lock and sets the stage for insulin resistance. So when we're going on that low carb diet, we may temporarily lower the amount of carbs, sugars in our blood, but what we're doing is we're setting the stage for further insulin resistance. So when we do eat carbs, our blood sugar can go through the roof. And that is so disappointing when you've tried so hard to resist carbs and you just want to have a little bit and your blood sugar is going crazy because the root cause of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is worse than it was before you tried the low carb diet. So this is just a downward spiral and it is really depressing. And we understand that. And the good news is there are carbohydrates that you can put into your diet that help regulate your blood sugar. So we're going to get into those in just a moment. And I want to let you know that our goal is not to just help you have low blood sugar or to just help you lose weight. Our goal is to get you into remission, because remission is possible with diabetes. Even studies are showing people who have had diabetes 6 years or more can still reverse their diabetes. It's much easier when it's pre-diabetes or you have not had blood sugar levels that put you into the diabetic bracket for very long. It's easier to reverse your diabetes. But even if it has been chronic and long-term, you can still make incredible progress and even achieve remission. So don't feel that just because you've had diabetes for a long time that there's nothing you can do. That is 100% not true. You can definitely lower your blood sugar levels. You can definitely address the root causes of high blood sugar and start to regain not just a diabetes-free life, but incredible optimal health, reducing the risk that we talked about at the beginning, the cardiovascular disease risk and the neuropathy and the blindness and the slow wound healing and amputations. All of those can be mitigated when you make positive change. So it's never too late. So our goal is to empower you with these leading edge strategies to truly reverse the disease and optimize your overall health and performance, adding healthy years to your life and the confidence and capacity so that you can fulfill your purpose, you can pursue your passions, and you can excel in your profession. So we've already talked about low carb doesn't equal reversal. So that low sugar, blood sugar levels does not mean that you are healthy. You're masking the problem, not solving it. And health is not just about the absence of symptoms. It is about thriving. We want you to thrive. So when we leverage evidence-based diet and lifestyle practices, you can not only reverse diabetes, but normalize your weight, lower cholesterol, improve your heart health, and mitigate cancer risk. And the systems that we use, the strategies that we use, have also been shown to, on average, add 10 healthy years to your life. Incredible. So let's talk about carbs. They're not the enemy when they're done right, when you make the right choices and the right form. And so this means we're going to talk about something called the glycemic index. And if you do have diabetes, you've probably been to the doctor and they've said, oh, you need to eat low glycemic foods. Stay away from potatoes, by the way. They're super high on the glycemic scale. And that's disappointing. We've talked to people who have said, oh, I really miss potatoes. I miss potato salad. I miss mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving, those kinds of things. Well, guess what? We have a secret strategy for you. So the glycemic index, it ranks food based on their blood sugar impact. And it's generally a scale of 0 to 100. I have seen, higher numbers, but we're going 0 to 100. And carbs with a glycemic index that is below 50 generally help you avoid those blood sugar spikes and the silent damage that they cause to your body. Now, what carbs have a below 50 glycemic index? They are some whole grains like barley, bulgur wheat. Quinoa is a little bit above 50, but it has so many other benefits. It's super high in protein and amazingly high in nutrients. Here in the Andes Mountains, it was a super grain of the Inca and has been eaten for thousands of years here with the indigenous people in South America, as well as wild rice and oats. These all have a lower glycemic index. So when you eat these carbs, as long as they're not ultra processed in some way. You buy them in bulk, here they are, you cook them. Barley has a glycemic index of just 20 to 35, incredibly low. Did you know that barley used to be the main grain for making bread? It's not so commonly used. The bread is not light and fluffy like we're used to, but when we make breads with grains like barley and rye, then they have a glycemic index that is medium for us. It's not something we want to eat every day, but those are breads that you can have that are not going to spike your blood sugar like crazy. Bulgur wheat has a glycemic index of 48, so not so bad. It's also called cracked wheat. Quinoa is 53. Wild rice is just a 45, so that nice black rice or red rice that you see in the store, those are a low glycemic index. And oats, and I'm not sure about this number. They give it a 55, but there are the fast cooking oats and the slow cooking oats. The slow cooking oats take longer to digest. They have a lower glycemic index. Definitely go for that. Do not go for the instant oats. They turn into sugar very quickly in your blood and spike it up. So there are some grains in particular that have reasonable glycemic indexes that you can include in your diet. It doesn't mean you go nuts and that you eat them every day or that you overeat them or include them in every meal. That's just not a balanced way to eat. It's not common sense health. But if you can include them in your diet, enjoy them to their fullest and know that you're not damaging your glycemic levels, your blood sugar levels. But it's not just what these grains are, it's also how you prepare them. Now, I know so many people that love bread. I live in a family. Our boys, our two sons who are 9 and 13, they love bread. They are growing so fast. I swear our 13-year-old wakes up that much taller every morning. He's already taller than I am. And I'm a 5'7" almost. So when we take these grains and we turn them into breads like whole wheat bread or white bread, when it's in bread, it's full of air from the yeast and it's very, very easy to digest. So we digest it quickly and it spikes up our blood sugar. I already told you that things like barley and rye, pumpernickel, also, those are low glycemic breads. So bread is not your best way to eat grains and keep your blood sugar low. But here's a tip, pasta. In pasta, the grain is not full of air, it is compact, and our body has to take a little bit longer to break it down. And this all happens, it happens partly in our mouth when we chew, we break down the carbohydrates, but it's also in our small intestine. So when we eat pasta instead of bread, it takes longer to get the sugar out of it. So our blood levels stay more normal over a long period of time, which means sustained energy and stamina. When they spike, we get excited, you know, that sugar high that can happen, that's a blood sugar spike, whether it's from sugar or simple carbohydrates, processed carbohydrates, white bread, those kinds of things. It spikes the sugar high, then we crash low and we feel tired and brain fog and all of those things. But if we keep our blood sugar levels level, we have more sustained energy and stamina. So I'm going to talk next about the potato paradox, because who doesn't enjoy having a little bit of mashed potatoes or potato salad? And even if you have type 2 diabetes, you can have potatoes, but here's a secret way to prepare them. Potatoes are often demonized for the high glycemic index of 100. But if you cook your potatoes, then you chill your potatoes, you can drop that glycemic index from 100 to somewhere between 50 and 69, depends on the potato. And if you add vinegar dressing to it, you can drop it even lower. So when we make potato salad in our family, we choose to have a vinaigrette over the creamy mayo kinds of dressing. It's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit more tangy. We don't feel so full and heavy when we use a vinegar instead of a mayo base. So you can, after you cook them and you cool them, you can reheat them. We'll often cook potatoes one day and then we'll eat them the next day. So you can reheat them if you want. And why does this work? Like, what is the magic behind the curtain that's happening? Well, the carbohydrates in the potato, when they're freshly boiled or cooked, they're readily available, kind of like bread, especially white bread. It goes in, is digested really quickly, up goes our blood sugar. But when they sit for a while, the sugars start to bind together. They zip together and create something that's called resistant starch. Now, resistant starch breaks down very slowly in the intestines because when we are digesting it, it has to take that zippered carbohydrate part. And like pasta, it takes longer to digest, so we maintain a more level blood sugar. The other benefit is that this resistant starch, excuse me, I misspoke. We don't take that starch apart. Resistant starch is not digestible. What it does is it feeds our bacteria in our gut. I was going towards complex carbohydrates. The resistant starch feeds our gut bacteria. They love it. They thrive on it, our good gut bacteria, and they have a huge influence on our health. I can't go into it all today, or we'll be here all day. But what happens is the resistant starch doesn't raise our blood sugar levels. It actually increases our insulin sensitivity. Remember, this is one of the roots of diabetes, is that we're not sensitive to insulin. It goes in the lock and it's gummed up and it can't open the door. Well, resistant starch actually helps the insulin open the door so that you are not as resistant, addressing the root cause. And the starch is like a fiber. It promotes fullness, and so that we don't overeat as much. So resistant starch does many great things. And as I said before, moderation, common sense health is moderation. So you're not going to be having them every day. But now you know that if you do want to have potatoes, you do want to have grains, take your potatoes and your grains as well. Some grains like rice produce more resistant starch when they're cooled. And so you can do this with your grains as well. We often like to prep cook on Sundays. We'll make a bunch of brown rice or a bunch of quinoa or a bunch of wheat berry or barley, and we'll cook that up on Sunday so that throughout the week for the next couple of days, we can have a Buddha bowl, we can make a breakfast grain bowl with that, and the resistant starch levels will be higher. And grains are highly variable as to how much they will make, but it definitely does not hurt to cook your grains ahead, chill them, and then eat them with a higher resistant starch level. So I hope that you have taken away some great ways to understand how a low carb or zero carb diet can actually create for blood sugar regulation. It goes in, it can help, it can cause you to be more insulin resistant. The fat from a high fat, high protein diet can create more inflammation in your body. It can gum up that lock so that the insulin can't open it. We can't get the blood sugar into our cells. So the high fat, high protein diet does not do you favors for the root cause of diabetes. There are certain cases when you just have to have zero blood sugar, like when you are treating, not zero, but very low blood sugar, you're not bringing carbohydrates. It's important for the treatment of cancer or other metabolic conditions where it's like an emergency medicine. This is an emergency. Let's get the blood sugar as low as possible, decrease inflammation, keep the sugar low so that it's not feeding cancer cells. There are medical reasons to have a low or zero carb diet. But if you want to have a healthy life where you are putting your diabetes into remission or reversal, whether you are preventing diabetes, carbohydrates are an important part of maintaining and sustaining our energy. So I hope that was valuable to you. I'm going to have a quick check on LinkedIn here to see if there are any questions, because I don't want to miss those. And I have some tips for you and a special gift for you. And actually, what I would love for you to do, while I'm looking to see if there are any questions to answer, I would love to have you put in the chat, where are you from? I would love to know where in the world everybody is. As you know, I'm calling in from Ecuador, the historic city of Cuenca. And the other thing that I promised is that if you attended live, I would be happy to send you our list of more than 50 foods that have a low glycemic index so that you know there are fruits you can eat, there are grains you can eat, there are starchy vegetables that you can eat. And we have put all of those, compiled them on a list that we would be happy to send you, but I can't send it to you. You don't want it. So in the chat, let us know where you're from, and also put the word carbs in there, CARBS, if you would like us to send you that list of 50 low glycemic foods that you can enjoy at your leisure. Let's see here. Are there any questions coming up? I don't see any right now. I'm so sorry if I missed this technology, and switching back and forth is not the easiest thing for me to do. Let's see here. Let me check comments. All right. I don't see any right now. If I missed them, I'm sorry. I will check comments later and I will reach out to you with your answers. So if you would like that 50 low glycemic food list, please put carbs in the comments and I will send those to you. And now I want to share some steps to start to rewire your metabolism for diabetes disruption and remission. And this will just take a few minutes, but I wanted to give you as much value as I could today. Number one, set realistic weight loss goals. For diabetes, for type 2 diabetes, weight loss is so important to reverse it. Remember, we talked about the fat cells sending the wrong communication and inflammation. Well, and the fat in the liver and the pancreas, fat, and in the muscle cells themselves, fat is the culprit for causing the disruption in the communication and the metabolism that causes you to not be able to regulate your blood sugar correctly. So having a weight loss goal where you're focusing on perhaps a percentage, 5 to 10% of your body weight loss instead of a specific number. You can look at 5 to 10%, and that will get you in a zone where you will start making such fast progress. Oh, and I wanted to share, within 1 week of dietary lifestyle change, you can start seeing massive improvements in your blood sugar levels. It's insane. And in 3 weeks, you will just be blown away what is possible. And you may even be needing to decrease your medications in just a few weeks. And when that is sustained over a number of months, and then you start to develop a pattern in that positive feedback loop that keeps you going towards optimal health. So number one, set realistic weight goals. Losing about 1 pound a week is generally considered healthy and sustainable for most people. So don't go crazy on it and say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds before summer bikini season. Not happening. Set something realistic. That is a lifestyle you will enjoy so that you don't do the yo-yo. Our goal is to make health as easy as possible, eliminating the struggle in every way possible, making it delicious and nutritious, something that you want to continue rather than something that it engages your willpower to force yourself to do. So realistic weight loss. Number two, swap those high fat protein sources for low fat sources. So take out the red meat, the chicken, the fish, the shrimp, all of those things, and go for more nutrient-dense options that have 0 saturated fat, like beans, lentils, peas, and tofu, as well as some grains like millet, teff, and quinoa. They are very high in protein as well. Number three, consider Meatless Monday. Introduce a plant-based meal for a fiber boost and that reduced saturated fat intake. Did you know health studies have shown that even substituting 5% of your calories from animal protein to vegetable protein is associated with a 16 to 30% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So you don't even have to make huge changes to start to decrease your risk and to start to address the root causes of blood sugar dysregulation. Number four goes right along with that. Emphasize a whole food, plant-based diet. If you let animal products take the role of like a condiment or a flavorizer instead of, the central main course, then you'll be getting all of those foods in there that help you manage your blood sugar better. And in the blue zones, which I don't know if you've seen the Netflix film, Dan Buettner and National Geographic have both studied what are now termed the blue zones. And these are places where the healthiest, longest lived people on the planet are. And in their diets, there are many factors that contribute to their longevity. Diet is a huge one. And in their diets, 95% of their diets, whether you're in Japan or Greece or Costa Rica, Loma Linda, California, their diets are 95% plant-based. They do occasionally have eggs. They do occasionally have meat. Like I said, it's a condiment or a little flavorizer. It's not a big part of it. So emphasizing whole food plant-based has been shown across tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in studies to reverse type 2 diabetes when it's done well, so that you have no nutrient gaps and you're getting all of the micro and macronutrients that you need. It mitigates cancer. It has been shown to lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, all of these things that lead to chronic diseases and cut our lives short. There have been so many studies that show that a whole food plant-based diet is tops for helping to prevent those from happening. Number 5, embrace the resistant starches. If you are cooking potatoes or rice, use the cooling trick to increase the resistant starch levels so that you lower the glycemic index. And number 6, focus on low glycemic carbs. So remember, type carbs in the comments and I will send you our list of 50 low glycemic foods that will help you rewire your metabolism for healthy blood sugar levels. So, one powerful framework for lasting change, including more whole foods in your diet. Less processed foods, go for whole foods like grains, beans, seeds, some nuts. Nuts are high in fat, so having a couple tablespoons a day, perfect. It actually is shown that you can add years to your life by having a couple tablespoons of nuts per day. Things like walnuts, almonds are particularly healthful in that way. But grains, beans, nuts, seeds, legumes, fruits, and vegetables. These are your whole foods. So if you are buying whole foods at the store, you go home, you put them together, you cook them. We like to make this easy, simple, delicious, and nutritious. But when you eat a diet focused on that, you're decreasing your risk of so many diseases and potentially adding up to 10 healthy years to your life. And think about what 10 years means when you're watching your grandkids grow up, or the impact you can make on the world, or enjoying 10 more years of your retirement. I know so many people, the statistics are staggering of people, they retire at 65 and within 5 years they're dead. It happens partly because of health, partly because of lack of purpose. There are lots of factors that go into it, but why wouldn't you want to have a long, healthy retirement so that you can do more of what you love with the people you love? And one framework can address all of these. And this is something that we do in our 12-month program and our shorter programs that are designed to help guide you towards diabetes remission with optimal health, not just healthy, normal blood sugar levels or normal weight, optimal weight for you, but optimal health, because health is not just the absence of disease, it is the presence of vitality and healthy longevity. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear your takeaways, comment carbs if you want, the list of 50 plus low glycemic foods. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're like, this is great, but I'm a little confused about how to get this into my life and integrate it with my family, and I have more questions. Well, I'm really happy to talk to you. We understand that it's not that clear on how to take consistent results, and that trial and error can just eat away at our confidence and our willpower, and can be difficult to maintain. So we're here to help take the struggle out of healthy eating. And if you would like to set up a call, I am happy to discuss with you where you are with your health, what are the challenges, and how you can help stabilize your blood sugar for optimal health in your future. And it's not a big deal. Get on the call. I'm not going to try to sell you our program, And if it looks like you're the right fit and it's the right thing for you, we can talk about what it looks like. But this is not a hard sell. I want to help you. Diabetes is scary. It has huge, long, permanent repercussions. And I don't want that for anyone when I know that I have the information and the skills to help you prevent that, to help you reverse diabetes, to prevent developing it in the first place. So let me be of service to you. Take a step and let me know if you want to get on a call. Just put in the comments, what should you put? Diabetes reversal, or yeah, put diabetes reversal, and I will reach out to you and we'll set up a time to talk about it. I have been in the field of high performance health for over 30 years. I've helped tens of thousands of people from every continent except Antarctica. And when we get on a call, it won't be like a doctor visit. It won't be like a brand new health coach who's, young and doesn't have a lot of experience. I've been doing this for so long. Because you took the time to be here today and you stayed to the end, I'm wanting to help you get to the next level of your health. So just let me know in the comments or send me a direct message and I will set up a time where we can chat about your health and how you can make some really amazing positive health gains in the most efficient way possible, because I'm a Virgo. I really love efficiency. So thank you so much. Feel free to share this information, share the profile. Anyone that you know that's struggling with diabetes or blood sugar or weight loss, get them in touch with me. I'm happy to be of service, to share resources that I have that can help empower them and help them develop the confidence and capacity to take charge of their health. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Stacey Nagle, your high performance health coach. Ciao.